Go live. Going live. You're live. I hope we're ready to go because we're now live and I don't have time to look at anything else.
Oh dear.
Hello everyone, welcome to the show. How are we all doing? I'd say I would do the whole sort of, we've got a great show lined up for you today, but we don't. We never do.
I take great offense at that. It's a fantastic show with minimal preparation.
Minimal preparation. There's no preparation. That's my point.
I'll have you know I got dressed for this.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. And I made tea. So yeah. Okay. There we go. That's the preparation. Starting to get a little predictable, don't you think? Hello, Chris Kingan. How you doing? Thanks a lot for the $10, my dude. Also, I'm going to do an obligatory hello to Demny BS, who said hello in the pre-show, but he's going to miss the stream. So yes. What's up, Si? How you doing? All dreams fall down. Hello, Joshua, and Ben Laird as well. I see you there, and all the other usuals I see. Will this season of Tech Talks end when the shop tour is done? There won't. No. We're not going to be doing this in seasons per se, but yeah. However, as I think, did I talk last week about doing quote unquote early access videos for channel members?
Yes, in as much as they won't be explicitly early access, they'll just be as soon as you prepare them.
You see them as soon as they're on the channel. Yeah, because that's probably what I'm going to do once the shop tour stuff is done. So yeah, that's the closest we'll get to, but not really season 2 per se. Just simply that's a thing that's going to be done. But yeah, that doesn't mean that people. Yeah, that will vary. Just to add context to that, because I just blurted that out without actually explaining any of it. One of the things I'm planning on doing is when at the moment, all the exclusive content that channel members, Patreon subscribers, and Twitch subscribers see is all the shop setup and the fitting stuff that I'm doing myself. Once I'm done doing that, I kind of won't have anything to give to the contributors. So my plan of action is, rather than doing you see all the videos like 1 week early kind of malarkey, I'm just simply going to make it so you see any videos as soon as they go up on the channel. Because sometimes videos go up.
Revealed.
Sorry?
The secrets will be revealed.
Yeah. Sometimes videos go up like
magically go live instantly.
Yeah, the day that sometimes they go up like just as I've uploaded them. But then also sometimes the video is sitting around for a couple of days until the next scheduled post comes around. And the idea is that anyone who has paid access will see stuff the moment it goes up. And that also sometimes means you might happen to see next week's video that I just happen to do either a day later or the same evening or something like that. So now and then you'll see stuff early, but now and then you'll only see stuff a day before it goes up, that kind of thing basically. So. Just don't offer an OnlyFans sub. I didn't get around to watching that video in the end, but no, I won't be hitting up OnlyFans. We did make jokes that we were going to do an OnlyFans that was literally computer fans.
Yes.
But unfortunately, that's not actually allowed. So
apparently there were terms of service issues.
Yeah. Spud Nugget with the £10. Let's go! Thank you very much.
Clearly, Spud gets paid too much.
Gadgetman, take my offer on free shop fitting. I tell you what, I'll level with you on this one because I was not expecting to see you in the chat. Yeah, I had a call. Right, okay, so basically your call caught me off guard. I had a call from a chap who has now identified themselves in the chat. Whenever I frequently get phone calls from people saying, I've been watching all of your videos on YouTube, etc., etc. And usually, 99 times out of 100, what that means to me is the person on the other end of the phone is about to either A, try and sell me something, and be like, or just basically unsolicited sales, or B, they're about to say, I have a insert impossible to fix problem over the phone with this laptop here, and they're in another country, and there's no way I can solve this. So 9 times out of 10, any phone call that starts with, I've been watching your videos on YouTube, is going to be a waste of my time. That is the blunt reality of the situation. So I'll level with you. As soon as I heard someone saying, I do shop fittings and stuff like that, basically I thought you were about to try and sell me a service. And I was immediately like, no, I don't care. Go away, I have computers to fix. So as I say, I apologize for being rude to you on the phone. That wasn't actually my intent. And after that phone call, I was actually like, oh, that's not quite how I wanted that to come out. However, my actual answer is that I wanted to fit my own shop anyway. Just purely because part of this shop was about me building it up myself, and it was partly just me doing it myself. Basically, that was the goal. Really, I wanted to make it my own kind of thing. But yeah, I do appreciate the offer. But yeah, as I say, I wanted to go my own way on this anyway. So can't imagine me being rude ever. You only see my YouTube voice. I'm sorry. I am notoriously flippant. Yeah. Caradog knows this very well. Day to day, I am busy and stressed. So yes, it's my apology video. I'm very sorry. I will endeavour to do better in the future. Anyway. So yeah, as I say, I do appreciate the offer though. Thank you very much. Let's see. Do I get calls from fans? Not. I don't very often get calls from people who just want to talk to me. Thankfully, who just want to call up and be like, "Oh, I'm your biggest fan," kind of thing. Thankfully, I don't get that. Usually, it's just from people who are just pitching impossible problems where I'm just like, I have no idea what's wrong with your laptop. I'm sorry, you know. It won't be so much of an issue when I'm actually set up for mail-in repairs, but I'm just not set up for that at the moment. So yeah, something that will be done in the future. Let's see, right. So with all that in mind, let me quickly roll back and see. So yeah, also my name is Graham, which is another pro tip. Right. Let's see.
Autographs.
What about autographs? No.
Signed case panels.
I have, for other reasons, I've been asked to sign things before as well, and it always seems weird that people place a value on me putting my signature on something. However, I realize now that it's not so much, sometimes it's not so much the signature, but it's just the fact of they want a mark to commemorate the fact that they were out doing something and seeing people that they look up to, kind of thing. So
it's a I was there.
Yeah,
almost.
Pretty much. Yeah. Right. Scotty says, guys, any info on using my mobile as a webcam? Boy, can we tell you about that. Caradog, do you want to take this one? Because Caradog does literally use his mobile as a webcam.
Yes. Legitimately, right now, I am talking to, or you are seeing me through my mobile phone. I use Erwin. I actually genuinely can't remember. I'm going to work out how you're supposed to pronounce it.
Is it IRWIN?
IRIUN. Iron.
In webcam. Oh yeah, I found it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to quickly link in the website.
That. And basically, it's a case of it's an app for iOS and for Android, and you can use it to stream your phone's camera to your PC, and it will appear specifically as a webcam. So any program that looks for webcams will find it as an option. So stuff running through your browser or Discord or Skype or what have you. And it's got
webcam.
some basic controls in it, like for certain cameras, it can turn the flash off and on. It can lock the exposure, and you can flip it. It's also as the app kind of as the app is updated after phones come out, it will find the other cameras on the phone. So by default, it will usually only find the main shooter. But like because I've got a S21 Ultra. Yes, S21 Ultra. So it's got 4 cameras on the back for reasons. It can now find them all, but the original version I started using it with could only find the main shooter. So it's getting updated and it will find it.
Nice.
Yeah.
So yes, that's how you can
It's
use it as a
free.
webcam. It's certainly something that I'm going to be doing because I've actually been looking around for options for how I can get effectively a wireless camera plumbed into OBS, because obviously one of the interesting things about using Irin I'm going to call it Irwin just for the sake of the conversation. Steve Irwin, as Chris pointed out.
Ion stones.
Anyway, one of the interesting things is obviously because you're effectively streaming it over Wi-Fi, not only are you using your mobile phone as your webcam, but you also now have a wireless camera, which for someone who is plumbing something into OBS is very, very interesting, especially for me, because, for example, I have the issue of when I'm recording, anything that I want to record is tethered to the computer. Whereas if I were to, when I set this up myself, I'll effectively now be able to use my phone camera and I can go and look at something that's on the other side of the shop or out back and have the computer wirelessly recording, which is super cool. So that's very interesting to me.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
I've not particularly played with it on Wi-Fi. Because
Scripture
on
Nest,
Android,
fuck off, basically. Sorry, continue, Caradog.
yeah, because on Android you can do it over USB. And it will do it via I've literally just forgotten what it's called. UDB. It'll do it by the development connection effectively, which works over USB. However, on iOS it's wireless only, and I've seen it be quite flaky on the iOS one on Wi-Fi. Certainly for at least 1 or 2 people who've used it, but they were also using Virgin Wi-Fi boxes. So
yeah, you never know.
But yes,
Graham, you're never rude.
but yes, there's also Droid Cam that will appear as a literal IP camera on your network.
Oh, that's interesting. You were using Droid Cam at one point, weren't you? Or am I thinking of something else?
Only because I tried all of them and basically just installed all of them and saw what it did. Yeah, ADB. There we go. Words, letters, arrangements, such forth.
Yeah, I suppose Droid Cam is quite an interesting one there if it plumbs it into an IP address, because that's interesting if you're trying to use it like an IP camera rather than a webcam, because there's different situations as depends on how you would want it to behave. Because like if you're trying to connect into OBS or Discord or something like that, you want it to look like a webcam, because trying to get an IP camera into OBS or Discord is going to be a pain in the ass. But if you're trying to plumb it into a video recorder to use it as, for example, CCTV or something like that, then having it as an IP camera is vastly more useful, because you can then route that across to other places and all that kind of thing. So yeah, Droid Cam will let you use it into OBS as well. Yeah, I suppose only because OBS can use an IP source, I would imagine.
Yeah, it can
RTMP. Yeah,
that one. Those collections of letters.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Yes, the only minor restriction on Droid Cam compared to the other options is that Droid Cam is restricted to 480p. And to get higher than 480p, you have to buy the Pro version.
Okay, yeah. Well, at least if it can do it,
I think so. It's not actually terrible, but yeah, it's a case of it's a $5.
A $5. That's not a king's ransom. No, that's fine.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. VLC can access IP cams too. That's interesting. Yeah. Interesting.
VLC has a surprisingly large number of like streaming options and stuff.
VLC is magic. Yeah, there's a couple of areas where it can feel. VLC has some annoying crashes that I run into now and then, and some other annoying quirks as well. However, in terms of just overall functionality, it's an astonishingly versatile program. It blows my mind how many just secret little features it has. There are some really obvious desirables that it doesn't have that annoy me. Like, for example, frame by frame stepping is still really annoying to do in VLC. And I don't know why. Like, there's no...
That's because frame by frame stepping is really annoying to do in video. Kind of full stop, because a full frame isn't stored.
Yeah, I
There
suppose.
isn't actually a full frame.
Yeah.
There's only a full frame every
keyframe.
frames, depending on how many keyframes to B frames you have.
Yeah.
Which
YouTube can do it. Yep. YouTube can do it.
Yeah. For weird reasons.
Yeah.
But also YouTube doesn't allow you to step back or forward sometimes, because it just goes, no, actually, I'm going to sit here and infinitely load instead.
I never had that issue, but I'm not going to disbelieve you.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It just randomly, sometimes when you're stepping through a video, it will just go, no, I'm not actually going to load the next frame. It's just like, okay, sure. Screw you.
Fair enough.
Click play, loads.
Yeah. Very well then.
Yes. I very much used MPCHC.
Yeah.
Which I think came out of CCCL. I think it was built out of that back in the day. Common Codex Creative something, which was basically an ultra mega pack of codecs back in the Wild West days of Tinternet and CCC.
Oh God, codec packs. Ugh.
And CCCL was a non-virus infested bundling of packs that went before that were virus infected.
Yeah. Hands up in the audience who remembers having to install DivX. These were dark days. On that bombshell.
Or just real video. The fact that some people encoded in real player video.
I had bleached real video from my memory. And when every now and then a computer comes in for repair and I see that it has real player installed, and I'm just like, it's like PTSD or something. I'm just like, why is it there? What's it doing there? Why does this still exist in the 21st century? You know? And I'm just like, this has to go. It's nothing to do with why the computer is in for repair. I'm just uninstalling it on principle. Whatever it is, they don't need it.
Which version of Real Player is installed? Oh yes, the version from 2001.
Ugh.
Good Lord.
Almost, yeah. Like, QuickTime Classic I can tolerate. QuickTime Classic I can tolerate. But real player's got to go.
For the time, Real Player did allow you to do things that had never been seen before, like play video back.
Yeah, true. I guess it was mainly just the tragedy of how it ended up just bloating into the horrible mess where you couldn't just install Real Player anymore. You had to install Real Player, and that would come with the stupid little message center in the bottom right that would start throwing up on-screen notifications about stuff you didn't care about. And you're like, I just want to play back real media content. And,
I'm so pleased I only ever found like 3 videos in real media format, video format.
I don't recall really using it in anger that much.
No, by the time I found it, it was like 2014, looking at really old videos, and I was just like, guess what? MPHC will play this back anyway.
Yeah.
I don't even need to care now.
Pretty much. Yeah. I think I liked using VLC just because it had a couple of other really nice features. Like, one of my favorite parts of VLC is the fact that it just has the snapshot thing, just straight on menu, where you can just grab a screenshot of what you're looking at and it will just dump it into the pictures folder. Just one click, screenshot, done. That I always found very useful, but I think a lot of players have got that in it now anyway. So,
yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I found way back when I didn't get on with VLC because it didn't scale content very well.
Yes,
And because
agreed.
I've always had big screens for the time, upscaling was a very necessary feature.
Yes. This improved drastically in the newer versions of VLC. Specifically, I think it was just VLC 2 onwards, because I know I went through a phase where I was binging South Park big time, and I was binging South Park from illegal pirate websites, and they were all potato resolution, like sub SD resolution kind of thing, because it was all just on free streaming websites, like, you know, watchsouthparkfreeonline.com or .ru or something, you know. And I had ripped and downloaded all of these episodes to watch them back, and I had noticed that QuickTime Player upscaled them dramatically better than VLC did. Like the visual difference was startling. So it was. It's not very often where it's actually worth using an alternative program, but for there it was. But I know I think it was when VLC 2 came out, and they had clearly completely reworked their upscaling engine, because it did look drastically better. Like I don't want to say it's the best, but it looked good enough that it was no longer worth having a separate player for low res content kind of thing, which was interesting. So yeah.
The thing I just find amazing is the range of devices that can obviously play back video, but you get the same video and watch how it completely murders some devices.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't pay attention to it, but I grabbed a very high resolution scan of an actual film, a film
Oh
from
right, yeah.
film, as opposed to a motion picture
Yes.
film.
A
And I
literal film.
completely ignored what size it was. Playing it back on my PC, absolutely fine, didn't notice anything. Went to play it back on my laptop that's plugged into the TV upstairs, and it just melted. And I was like, what's wrong with this? It's only a video. Yeah, I realized the video was 85 gigabytes for an hour.
Ooh.
And I was like, oh,
Yes.
okay.
This is in approximately high bit rate.
It was just like, yes, fine, okay, I understand why my laptop, which has a dual core i7 in it. How i7's a dual core, I have no idea. But that's an entirely different debate. And it was just like, no, you get 1 frame a minute.
I wonder if you had been using. I wonder if there's any playback programs that could have leveraged. What's the built-in video encoder on Intel? QuickSync. I wonder if any players would have been able to leverage QuickSync to be able to cope with that.
No, because it was in some weird format.
Ah, okay, yeah.
If it had been in a standard format, yes, I imagine it would have done it absolutely fine. But it was just a case of, because it was a weird format, because it was an obnoxiously large file, it didn't help. It couldn't do it. And it was just a fact that completely surprised me. But then you kind of go, oh yes, but a Blu-ray player is running an operating system built in Java.
Hardware decoding, man. That's the thing.
And that was kind of my point. I was just like, what?
Yep.
Yep,
indeed.
It's hardware acceleration is everything.
Right. Okay, I'm going to roll back through some of the chat. A couple of quick ones firstly. Then there was a super chat earlier on that I'm going to get back to as well. File not found says, question, I've got 4 DIMM slots. I have 2 times 4 gigs of RAM. How do I populate them properly? You should check the manual for your motherboard. However, 9 times out of 10 on modern motherboards, you use the 2nd and 4th slots, counting away from the CPU. Do I have a... hang on a sec, let me grab a motherboard.
Do I have a motherboard? Walks off.
Yep. Here is a motherboard. Here's the CPU. So the RAM slots counting away from the CPU, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Ideally, you want to go 2 and 4 first. Usually, I'm not going to be able to get it on camera because I'll have to rearrange the camera, but if you look at the writing on the motherboard where it's got DIMM B1, DIMM B2, DIMM A1, DIMM A2, and so on, there'll often be a little dot next to 2 of the slots indicating that those are the first 2 slots you populate. Further to that, the vast majority of motherboards usually won't care and will figure it out. However, you might not get dual channel if you're not in the correct slots. So it's worth making sure. But yeah, as I say, slots 2 and 4 by default. Then also Mikey said, who remembers FLV files? I do, because fun fact, I still record in FLV. When I'm making videos for the channel, in OBS, I record in Flash Video. And there's 2 reasons why I do that. I could actually switch to Matroska, to MKV. However, the main reasons why I'm in FLV is A, I can pause the recording without actually stopping the record. So I can pause without breaking off the file, which is incredibly useful to me. And B, when you're recording in FLV, because it's a streaming video format, if the PC or if OBS crashes midway through the recording, you don't lose the file. It just cuts off where the crash happened. And crashes happen, basically. Now and then stuff goes wrong. And if you crash at the end of a 1 or 2 hour recording session, it means that I don't lose the entire repair. And as you know, as soon as I notice that the preview has locked up or the computer goes off, I can then just start recording and be like, and we're back and scene cut, basically. So FLV has got a couple of really handy advantages that are still useful today. However, as I say, Matroska can do it all as well, so I should switch to that.
Does FLV video then, is it basically dramatically less compressed?
It's to do with how the indexing is handled. When you are in a streaming format or stream ready, or I can't remember what the name, there's a term for it. Because in a video file, you have to have an index that basically essentially says where all of the frames are in the file. And in a streaming format, the index is effectively a rolling index along the timeline. Whereas in a non-stream one, the index, I think, is at the end of the file. It's either at the start or the end. And this is why, when streaming video first became a thing, they had to invent this, because for a video file to stream, to be able to play it without having the entire file, you obviously need the index to be moving along the timeline. You can't have the index at the end of the file, because otherwise you would need to download the entire file in order to play it back. So it's to do with how the indexing works, basically. And streaming formats, as they're known as, the index is along the file or something like that. So yeah, in terms of compression and bitrate, that's going to depend on what your compression and bitrate is set to. So
I have a question as to how 9 kilobits per second expands out to 7 gigabytes an hour.
yeah, I'm not sure where Teltac is getting those numbers from. But before we go any further, I'm going to get back to this heckin' super chat, because it rolled off chat ages ago and I'm just like, I missed it. Adam Sieferman with the $10 super chat. Thank you very much. Asks, Graham, how did you acquire your knowledge of electronics at a component level? Do you have formal training or education, or just trial and error and using the internet as a resource? Tips for beginners? Question mark. The latter. Yeah, I'm entirely self-taught through trial and error using the internet as a resource. I mean, I already had a basic knowledge of electronics just from a bit of school and just an interest in electronics. So I already knew capacitors and resistors and what they did and stuff like that, although not to the degree that I do now. And then I started binging through Lewis Rossman's earlier videos. So we're talking like, must have been, Lewis Rossman's videos circa 2015 to 2017, that kind of era. And that was when his videos were much more focused on repair and how to repair MacBooks. I mean, it's a lot of hours of video you have to trawl through. However, that's where I learned sort of the vast majority of my board repair experience from. And although that was all on MacBooks, it translates to other places. Once you understand what you're doing on a MacBook, you see the patterns everywhere else as well. So that answers that one. In terms of tips for beginners, it's tough. You've got to find broken stuff and fix it, basically, or failing that, maybe start with something that isn't even broken and just see if you can follow along how it works. See if you can, like, get a laptop, take it apart, and start it up as a bare circuit board with the screen on, sitting on the desk, and just try probing rails and see if you can find the main power rail, the backlight power rail, the CPU vCore rail, the RAM power rail, and so on, just so you can start seeing where the sections are and see if you can figure out all the power sections on the board. That's a good place to start looking, is just to observe how the working thing works, and do it on some grossy old Celeron burner laptop, so if you actually break it, it doesn't really matter. So yeah, that would be my top tip. Right, having done that super chat, jumping back to video encoding, since that's where we were. So Teltac has gone back to his. So he was on... Oh, okay. Yeah, that's where Teltac got his numbers from. So he was recording at 9K. And he got that.
I'm just confused because the numbers literally don't work. That's why I'm confused.
Right.
Because obviously an hour's worth of 9 kilobytes a second is 32,000 kilobytes.
Unless his streaming and his recording bit rates are different.
I don't. But yeah, I think there's possibly a zero missing from.
Yeah, I mean, he must mean 9 megabits per second, because 9K would be potato quality anyway. Yeah, 9,000 kilobits per second, I think. Yeah.
Yes.
Teltac, have you missed some zeros? I think he's missed some zeros. Anyway, so
yes, because then the numbers somewhat work.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, also jumping back, file not found is back. He has a 990 UXA UD3. Isn't that AM3?
That's an AM3 board.
Yeah, I was going to say that sounds AM3. That might be different, because I'm going to look that one up, because in the old, some of the old boards it was different. I'm going to check it because I'm curious now. So support. I should be reading chat instead of just looking this up, but whatever. I'm curious now. Download manual.
Yes, the reason it varies in most cases is it depends on the memory topology.
Mm.
Because if it's a T topology, it shouldn't make a difference. If it's daisy chain, you'll want it at the end of the chain.
Yeah.
Because it's to do with termination, interference, and things like that, and reflection.
Installation precautions.
I presume it's numbered in the audio. You're supposed to put them.
I think it is. Yeah, I was going to say in the picture they have numbered the slots from right to left. However, if we go down a little further to where they do memory installation, that's where they'll say, "I love these old manuals. This is the good old days."
I mean, the gigabyte manuals look much the same now.
Yeah.
Just the motherboard is black instead of.
There we go.
Blue.
Channel 0 is DDR3 2 and 4. Oh, interestingly, they don't do a staggered layout. Oh no, for 2 channels. Yeah, so no.
Yeah, so you want it in channel 0 and channel 1.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. On this one, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter as long as they're staggered. Basically, as you can see from this table here, you can use slots 2 and 1, or you can do slots 3 and 4. And they have staggered the numbering on the board. So from right to left, it goes 1, 3, 2, 4. So yeah, basically as long as they're spaced out, it doesn't matter which way round you do it. It will figure it out. So personally, I would do, counting from left to right, I would do 2 and 4, just because that's the meta, and it will support that. So yeah.
You do not mean the slots labeled 2 to 4. You mean counting the slots out,
Yes.
which are actually slots labeled 2 and 1.
Yeah, despite the labeling, I always count left to right from the CPU because every motherboard counts them differently. So I always count left to right from the CPU because then you can just say, right, from the CPU, count left to right, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now put them in 2 and 4. Oh. So yeah.
With precisely those noises.
Oh.
Next you'll be doing Tommy Cooper and getting Fez out. Just like that. Just like that.
I've just understood a reference from another video now. I'm not going to explain it because it's a story that doesn't go anywhere. But I've just suddenly thought, huh. But yes. Anyway, however, you also say you have terrible performance in some games. That's because you've got an FX, I'm afraid. If it sounds brutal, it's because it is. The FX is not a fast CPU, whichever one you've got. Yeah, I'm afraid. You're probably heavily CPU bound. It's got a Gigabyte GAEX, EX55UD5. No idea what's wrong with it. Doesn't boot, no CPU fan, nada. So it's stone dead. Well, whenever you've got a notebook, so if it's stone dead, the first thing I'd be looking at is make sure you've got a known good power supply on that. If you want it for a video, let me know. Maybe.
The difficulty for that will be the fact that they're obviously getting old processors for
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Because the problem is when you're dealing with a no post or a no power, swapping out parts is kind of the only way forwards, really.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the time people will be like, sort of, oh, you want to get yourself a diagnostic card, a postcode card. I'm like, that doesn't help you if it doesn't turn on. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah. And another interesting thing cropped up as well is I was recording the review for my BIOS programmer, my RT809F, and I actually tested the ports on it, the video ports, and I successfully got a BIOS dump over HDMI from a monitor, which was kind of cool.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant from a motherboard for a moment there. I was just going to be like, wow, that's an impressive level of delivery.
That would be heckin' rad, but no. But yes, at any rate, but while I was recording it, after I did that, I was just like, would this have made that Dell 4K monitor a 5-minute job? And for a minute, I was like, oh, god damn it. But then it also occurred to me that that Dell 4K monitor literally would not turn on. So obviously, can't BIOS dump it if it's got no power. So yeah, that's the thing. Sometimes the coolest diagnostic tools in the world aren't a lot of good if it doesn't turn on. So yeah, sometimes the only thing you've got to do. PSU is good, you've got a CPU. Yeah, CMOS battery, that's not going to stop it turning on, I don't think. So yeah, that's a tricky one. Known good PSU, changed out the CPU. I mean, even with a bad CPU, you should get power, you should get something. So yeah, it sounds like there's a power fault in some of the power rails on that motherboard, and I have not done any serious diagnostics on motherboard power rails, so I can't help you with that one, I'm afraid. I'm out on that. So yeah, FX CPUs go for a lot of money on eBay still, expensive paperweights. Yeah, there's a lot of people that are stuck on the AM3 Plus ecosystem and are just trying to max out with whatever they've got. There's so much AM3 Plus stuff lying around. But that's the thing, man. I had an FX8 myself. I know the FX CPUs, and my FX8, just even swapping it out with 4th gen Intel, it was a world apart in games performance, absolutely worlds apart.
Why would you do that?
So
Sorry, someone spent £120 on an X58 motherboard 2 days ago.
it baffles me why off-generational stuff still holds so much value. Yeah, I don't understand. It's very frustrating because there's a lot of old computers that could be half decent but are just not economical to build up because, like, you know, if you've got like, there are people out there that have got classic example, fourth gen Intel, like fourth gen i7s and stuff like that. They're still okay, man. You know, they're all right. It's what I'm running in this computer that's doing this show right now. It's got an i7 4770K in it. But the problem is, you try and find a Z97 motherboard, and you're going to pay through the nose for it. And you're just like, you know, you jump on eBay thinking, oh, we'll pick up a second-hand motherboard. It'll be 40 or 50 quid, 40 or 50 quid, right? Nope, you're going to be paying 100 quid for that. And you're just like, really? It's horrendous.
Yeah. Sold yesterday. Gigabyte Z97 MX Gaming 5, 140 quid.
£140. That's what's in this computer. Oh no, this is a Gigabyte, did you say?
Yeah, the Gigabyte Gaming 5.
Yeah, Gaming 5. Yeah, that's what's in this computer. £140. You can buy a nice B550 or a basic X570 board for that. You know, it's just like, why would you do this? Cutting away for a moment. Christopher David with the $25 super chat. Thank you very much, Christopher. Nice new lighting. Love how Graham and Carol provide details and share their knowledge. Thanks. Great interaction. Highlight of my week. No problem. You're very welcome, Chris. I appreciate it. And yeah, I got new lighting in here. Behind the scenes video will be coming this week for that. I'm just going to quickly take this thing because to allude to the headline title that I completely forgot to talk about at the start of the stream. There was no video this week just because I have been on a bit of a productivity go slow and I just haven't been getting stuff done. But I've got another filler video, which is the RoboVac repair that we talked about a couple of weeks ago. That's going out this afternoon. I could have posted it yesterday, but I didn't want it to immediately get buried by the podcast. So I'm going to post it immediately after the podcast and bury the podcast instead. So that's going out this afternoon, and then there will be decent videos, a la the RT809F video. That's going out on Tuesday. And then also either on Monday or Tuesday, or actually I might just, I need to edit it still. But also again, this week there'll be the behind the scenes video of doing all the new lights in the shop. They look beautiful. They look fantastic. I'm so happy. My mate John from Frampton Electricals, or rather who is Frampton Electrical Services, he came all the way down from my hometown and put these wonderful new LED lights in the shop, and the shop is just bathed in light. It's fantastic. I'm very happy.
I need to ask you to ask him about those expensive panels.
Why? Do you want one of the expensive ones?
Just a single one, yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure he could hook you up with one. I can, yeah. I'll... have you got WhatsApp?
For now, until they kick me off.
Yeah, so I'm kind of in the same boat. We'll get back to that in a sec, actually.
I've migrated everyone to Signal.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Failing that, I'll be seeing him again because there's more stuff we've got to do. He's going to fit a water heater in the kitchen, so I've got hot water at the taps. But yeah, so he'll be coming back. I'll ask him to pick one up if you want. They are about 85 quid, I think. But if you want one, I can ask him to get one, and I'll just get hold of one for you, and we'll square up whenever. Cool. All right, agreed. Business deal concluded on stream.
Can I interest you in the graphics card? Graphics card, everyone. Graphics card.
I hear you're taking pre-orders on 3090s at below MSRP.
Maybe. You never know. We'll see what turns up.
Yeah.
He's a bit mad, though.
Let's see. Yada, yada, yada. Blah, 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 blah. Don't have money in my nose. Yeah. Turn a phrase. All dreams fall down. Thank you very much for the £5 super chat there. You've got a Fantex PSU that comes on for half a second and then shuts off. Any ideas? Is it modular? If it's modular, disconnect all the modular cables from it and try and turn it on. Because faulty modular cables, more common than you think. I've seen it like 2 or 3 times. It's something that you'd never think of. However, like on 2 or 3 occasions, once directly and twice just through seeing other people in chats, I've seen people who've got power supplies that won't turn on, and then they disconnect one of the SATA chains that has no drives on it. Just literally disconnect the SATA chain cable and plug in a different one, and it works. But yeah, something that turns off and turns on and then immediately turns off for a power supply, that could be a short circuit. Turns on, detects short, cuts out, kind of thing. So yeah, try that. Something else you could do, if you've got a multimeter, stick your multimeter in beep mode, and while the power supply is turned off and unplugged, just try sticking it in beep mode. Just so it beeps when the probes touch, and just try probing across the CPU 12-volt cable. Sorry, the EPS connector for the CPU, and just try going from black to yellow, and just see if it beeps. I'm not sure if some power supplies default to. I'm not sure if any of them pull to ground when off, but you might just be able to detect if the power supply is shorted out. Just a thought. I'm going to test that while we're talking, actually. Is there something I can get...
It's one I prepared earlier.
Oh, yeah, that's just it. I'm just like, is there something I can get Caradog to talk about in chat while I go and get a power supply? You had that issue with your power supply too after a thunderstorm. It could be, yeah. It's not going to be the fuse, otherwise it wouldn't turn on at all. But yeah, it might be internally shorted, or it might be a duff cable in there. So yeah. And again, try testing it. I'll get a power supply and I'll show you some basic, just back of the envelope tests that you could do on it. Let's see. Oh yeah, talk about WhatsApp, Caradog. Well, I've got a question for you, because obviously everyone's fleeing WhatsApp because Facebook are enforcing Facebook data sharing on WhatsApp. However, I hear that that's illegal in the EU and they can't do it in the EU. What of that do you think?
I'll be intrigued if that is the case. And obviously I'll like it if it is. I've not heard that. But I'm just presuming that I'll get to whatever the date is and it will just randomly stop working because I don't have a Facebook account.
Yeah, because I haven't accepted the new terms and conditions either, and have just been ignoring it. However, my family still uses WhatsApp, and it's not viable for me to shift them. So yeah, I'm gonna have to accept those T's and C's at some point, and as I say, from what I've heard, it's not actually going to matter for me because EU master race.
But we're not in the EU anymore.
See, if it was a physical product, I'd be like, it doesn't matter, we're still going to get the EU version of it. However, for a digital service, when obviously Facebook can apply terms and conditions...
The Facebook data processor for the UK is changed.
It's changed?
Yeah, it changed on January 1st.
F. Well, that sucks, doesn't it? Oh, well.
Because technically the UK currently has no data protection laws. Basically. Because, you know, it's all good. But...
I don't get political, but heck Brexit, man. Whatever.
I mean, set WhatsApp up on a phone that has literally nothing else on it.
Yeah. I mean, I've still got a Facebook account. The boat has sailed, man. The only thing I've done is I think I've stripped all of my meaningful personal data out of my Facebook account for what that's worth, but who knows? And you know, lots of people saying, oh, use Signal or Telegram, etc. And I entirely agree with that. But the problem is I can't get all my friends and family to switch over to that because they're going to be like, we don't care, we use Facebook.
I did a really fast and easy switch. I just installed the app on my parents' phone and said, "This is the messaging app." I went, "The messaging app. It's the blue one.
Yeah,
It does the messaging."
yeah. I can't do that. I can't do that with my friends and family.
So yeah,
Yeah. Hmm. Oh well. Um, will PC parts go up with Brexit? Hard to tell. I mean, we're already taking hits. If you buy something from abroad, international sellers are already charging additional VAT because they're having to pay VAT. So, like, if you buy something, I had this the other day. I went to buy some stuff. I went to look at some prices on AliExpress. And while I was just on the default US and dollars thing, it showed me one price. I switched it over to GBP and the price went up along to indicate the VAT increase. So it's just like I just pay more. I'm paying more for purely for the reason of being in the UK. So it's really hard to tell at the moment because the PC component market is completely gazeboed right now. And like, for example, when you look at the price of graphics cards and that kind of thing, the US are in dire straits for graphics card prices.
it's
And the UK is
bad.
actually not doing too badly. If you can find stuff in the UK or in the EU, it's not too bad, just if you can get it in time. Whereas in the US, it's just like, you know,
Well,
so
yeah,
it's hard to tell.
literally every GPU I've seen posted on Newegg and the other one, um, whose name I can't remember,
Mm,
has been ridiculous.
yeah,
Because it's like 3060s at $1,700,
yeah.
3060 Ti's at like $2,100,
Is it?
2080s at like $2,700.
Yeah. Do you reckon there's any regulation involved in there? Because in the EU, aren't there laws against selling stuff too far? Aren't there anti-scalping laws effectively, where you're only allowed to sell something for a certain amount over
I don't think
RRP?
I don't think so.
Yeah. Okay. So
But
it's just most of the UK suppliers are just not being dicks, basically. It seems.
I guess it's a case of that, yeah.
Mm.
Um I think it's also just kind of partially the fact of there seems to have been an awful lot of tariff stuff
Yeah, I
happening.
know the tariffs have been
And
hitting the US hard as well.
then it was a case of a lot of stuff on top of that. Prices seem to go up a lot on top of the tariff increases.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was effectively used as an opportunity, or the tariffs have been used as an opportunity to effectively add like $600 to the price.
Rude. Either way, it sucks.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Right,
there's
to
a
finish our... Continue.
I was just going to say there is a single 3060, an Asus Tough OC, sorry, 3060 Ti on Amazon UK that
Yeah.
has been going around and around and around effectively for £1,150,
I saw someone
and
linked
it's
me
not
to
selling.
a 2080 Ti, EVGA 2080 Ti on Amazon for 600 quid last night. And they said, I want to buy a graphics card. What do you think about this one? And I was like, it's 2080 Ti, it's a 20 series, not a 30. But I'm just like, 600 quid, 2080 Ti is trading blows with a 3070. Going rate for the 3070 is about £600. That looks like a good buy to me, in all
Yeah,
honesty.
yeah,
And I said to him, honestly, if you want a graphics card right now and you've got 600 quid, I'd just buy that. It's a really
yeah,
nice graphics card.
yeah, absolutely.
I
I
also
still,
heard I also heard that apparently Canada has got 1660 Ti's laying around in the box stores. Like you go to
well,
Staples and you can buy them for a reasonable price. And I'm
mm,
like, I wonder how much it would cost to phone a friend. If you're in the US, I wonder how much it would cost to phone a friend in Canada, get them to go out to the shop and buy one and post it down to you.
$200 on top of
Really?
the price, as far as I can tell,
Ow.
because there
Is
is
it
effectively
tariff?
a border tariff.
Uh,
Yeah, so if it comes in, it will be there will be a tariff of something like $200, as far as I'm
Ow.
aware.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
suppose that's exactly to stop. Well, no, it's other things, but yeah, no, ignore me. Interesting.
that's what I presume, or it'd be a case of it'd be not $200, it'd be 20% or
Yeah.
something in that region.
You found an
I think that's what the
i5 11500 through a third-party seller for £900. What?
Ah, yes.
Are the Intel CPUs difficult to get hold of at the moment? No one wants them. I thought Intel was easy to get at the moment.
I think the 11 series will
Haven't
be
looked.
super high priced right now, just
Yeah,
because obviously it's only just
it's
launched,
brand spanking new. Yeah.
and for some reason, literally no one is
Were you
reading
about to see?
reviews.
Were you about to say for some reason no one is buying it?
No, I was going to say,
Okay.
for some reason, no one is reading the reviews
Oh,
of
okay.
it,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
literally everything other than like the 11400 is
Yeah.
basically
Because I was
pointless.
about to say I can think of a reason why no one's buying it.
Yeah, no, I meant the fact of as far as I can tell, no one's picking up the reviews, and they've just gone, "Ah, new Intel stuff, I must buy it."
Mm.
And it's like,
Yeah.
except for the massive performance degradation.
Fair enough. Yeah. To answer a couple of questions about stuff that I fix. Yeah, I dabble in other stuff. So like I dabble in monitors. If I've done repairs on like monitors and some other oddball stuff. Usually when I've done a video of me fixing something, it's because I knew exactly what the problem with it would be. Like with monitors, the recent one I did with the Dell monitor, the client called me up and described the issue, and in this case, it was it was firmware bricked, and I was like, I'll look at that because I know exactly how I'm going to fix that. Power supplies are harder than they look. Everyone always says, "Oh, it's the capacitors. Change the capacitors." I have tried, I've taken apart like 3 or 4 dead power supplies, and it wasn't the capacitors on any of them. And if it's not the capacitors, you're getting into the realms of it might be one of the switching transistors, and you need to start going through it with an oscilloscope to see who's not switching properly and stuff like that. Power supplies are harder than you think. If it's not the caps, it's a rabbit hole, basically. But on the other hand, you could just have a look for a dead short circuit or something like that.
Yeah.
Motherboards, ATX motherboards, I just haven't gotten around to it. I am collecting stuff to look at though. I have got some stuff already that I haven't looked at. But I mean, if people want to send me, dead hardware to experiment with, then sure thing, I'm up for it. As always, I can never guarantee that it'll ever get seen in a video or ever get anything done to it other than thrown out. However, if you don't mind and you just want to send it in, always more than welcome to. No more, no less. On that quick note, I'm just going to quickly show these just quick idiot tests for a power supply, just in case that's of any use to anyone. So if I just switch over to, if we just go her. Oh, hang on a sec, we're going to go all the way around. There we go.
Whee.
All right, we're going to split screen this. No, I'm not. I'm just going to go full screen bench cam. Hold on. There we go. We're erasing Caradog for a bit. You don't get to see either of us. And focus. There we go. I've just got a power supply here. This is one of my just junker 500 watt power supplies. So the first thing you want to do to check if a power supply is kill or not is I'm going to plug a power cord into it and turn on the switch. So the power supply is turned on at the socket now, and then you're going to get the ATX lead. And you see that green wire there? So if you're looking at the plug with the locking connector at the top, it's the 4th one up from the bottom. You want to short that one to ground. So if I get some tweezers and plug the green pin to a black pin, like this, you see the power supply is turned on. That's the turn on signal. And then when I remove the tweezers, it turns off again because it's no longer receiving the on signal. So that's a very quick way to see. So if you do that, and again, it turns on and then immediately turns off, then that tells you that the fault is within the power supply and not the motherboard. So that's one thing. Another thing that you could check, I mentioned about checking for a short circuit. I'm going to unplug the power supply and turn it off. So the power supply is now off. And just for good measure, I'm just going to short those 2 pins just to make sure it's got no residual power. There you go. You see how long that, do you see how long that run for with no power cable going into it? So that's drained the residual power. So now I'm going to set my multimeter into resistance mode, and I'm going to grab the CPU power cable, and I'm going to stick the red probe into yellow and the black probe into ground. And as you can see, we are reading in the range of, okay, so internal caps are charging. So the resistance is rising because it's charging up internal capacitors in there. However, we're rising up to approaching a kilo ohm. So if we were reading 0, so if we were getting something like that, 0.5 of an ohm, that's a dead short circuit. However, we were getting approaching to a kilo ohm. So if you do that on your 12-volt rail, you can just at least check if there's just some kind of really obvious short circuit. And you could do that for the other rails as well. You could check the red is 5 volt, orange I think is 3.3 volt, purple I think is 5 volt VSB. So again, you can just check the rails and just see if any of them are just shorted to ground, basically. And obviously, again, do these short checks with the power supply unplugged and turned off. And you could just check if there's an actual dead short circuit on something. I don't know if you'll find anything. I haven't done a lot of experimenting with power supply repair, but that's just a tip on where I would start with this at the very least. So no idea how useful that is to you guys, but there you go. Actually just trying to turn it on outside is a really good idiot. It's just a sanity check for the power supply. Because if you connect that green pin to ground and the power supply doesn't switch on, that's a dead power supply you got there, you know. So that's something.
I always forget which one it is.
Can you warn? Don't do this with steel tweezers on bare skin. It could be shorted to positive. I mean, I guess if you want to be belt and braces careful, then you could stick a paper. If you want to be belt and braces careful, you could, with it turned off and unplugged, stick your tweezers in there, and now without holding the tweezers, then switch on the switch at the back. So then I'm not touching the tweezers. Or failing that, you can buy useful little testers that do this as well. So have I got one back here? There is one. Some power supplies come with them. Ugh. There is a connector block, which as you can see, has actually got the wire built into it. So you can buy testers or you can buy these little connector blocks and you can stick that on the end of it and that will short the green pin for you. And that will turn on the power supply. So yeah, if you want to go health and safety mode, you can do that as well. So yeah, you're not wrong. There is always the possibility that you might touch something that's super live. Although if you've got mains voltage coming out of your ATX connector, something will have caught fire. If there's mains voltage at your ATX connector, it has already exploded. So pretty unlikely. But as I say, if you want to take caution, you're more than welcome to do so. It's not a bad suggestion. Whoop. So yeah, boxes have warnings about not sticking an eye. Yeah, exactly. However, that much being said, sometimes people do stupid things just because no one has ever told them not to do that stupid thing. So yeah.
Yeah. Do not stick a power supply in the eye.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
Not at least because power supply is
messed up all my camera position now.
12 centimeters across. Eye is not. Physicality says no.
And also, if power supply starts by shorting green wire to ground, doesn't necessarily mean it works. Also correct. I have a video on my channel called "Spinning Fan Does Not a Working PSU Make," which shows two demonstrations of a power supply that turns on, spins the fan, spins all the fans in the computer, but does not post the computer. So yeah, that just because the power supply turns on doesn't mean it's not faulty. However, if the power supply doesn't turn on, that means it is faulty. So it's one of those, is there a name for such a thing? There must be a term for that where a fail means it's failed, but a pass doesn't mean it passes, if you see what I mean.
I mean, I guess
I want a term for that because there are several cases where that is a thing.
A not very good test.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't.
Mike White, can you align the names? You know what? I sure can. Oh, actually, I can't because I actually have to edit that in Fireworks to fix that.
I have to edit it in Firefox.
Do I have Fireworks on this computer? If I've got Fireworks on this computer, I'll do it.
Oh no.
I don't, so no, I can't do it from this computer. And I'm not going to go and get my laptop. I can't be asked.
Have you?
False positive. Yeah, I suppose.
Have you stuffed it by the fact that my name is aligned with the bottom of the?
Yeah, it's because you've got a G in your name. So it's just the auto align has just where I just auto align to the bottom on two separate labels. So because yeah, Fireworks can be rather dim-witted, but I still think Fireworks is easier to use than Photoshop. I will die on that hill. Fireworks did nothing wrong. Didn't deserve to die.
I've genuinely never used it.
Right. PSU, you need to check the grey cable. Yeah, the grey cable, if it's got 5 volt on it, it's passed its internal self-test. Yeah, it sounds like grey is 5 VSB in that case. I couldn't remember if it was grey or purple. If you do a Google search on ATX24 pinout, it'll probably come up with the color codes. So that would work. Why would a fuse keep blowing in a power supply? Because there's a fault in the power supply. Something inside there is shorted and blowing the fuse. Again, this is one of the reasons why I've never had much luck fixing power supplies, because I did have a power supply that had blown its fuse. I replaced the fuse, it immediately blew the fuse again. And it was a case of I couldn't figure out what was shorted on it. So, phone for webcam, that explains the weird color science. Yes, to an extent.
Also, horrific wall colors.
I was going to say, Caradog is also just fighting. Caradog is blue dabba dee dabba die, so it's very difficult for him to get his white balance correct. By comparison, I'm sitting under studio lighting, so it's a lot easier for me to get the colors correct. So yeah, whereas Caradog is just at home, in a room, with some lights. So yes. Bulb tester for blown fuses, maybe. That's a good idea. Bulb tester, I've heard of that before. It's a little gadget for, yeah, I've seen someone has referenced that to me before. Right.
I want to blow test it.
Bulb tester that someone had, I can't remember the specifics of it, but it's a little gadget that people who work on electrical stuff like dishwashers and that kind of thing use, where you wire, I think you wire a incandescent light bulb, I think in series with the device under test. And if you've got a dead short circuit that is going to go out onto mains, it blows the bulb instead of the device. So it basically and it also functions as a visual indicator of when there's power there. Something along those lines. Someone else in the chat might be able to explain it better. But yeah, it's a thing that I've seen before, and I'm like, yeah, that's kind of interesting. I wouldn't use it for most general repairs, but if I was working on a power supply, it would probably be useful. But yes, it's just a lamp in series. Yeah, that's what I thought. Use a cheap eBay digital load tester. How much load can it put on the power supply? because that's the interesting thing. Because I've had people link up power supply testers before because a lot of them are just a little plug with some LEDs in it, and that doesn't do anything. It might tell you those voltage rails are on, but it doesn't actually apply a load to anything. So it doesn't actually prove whether it actually works. But I'd be interested if there are some handy load testers that can actually put a couple of 100 watts on the power supply. What I really need is a power supply that is actually spinning but dead, so I can actually figure out how you would test for that. Like how many watts does it take to reproduce the problem, that kind of thing. But it's gonna vary depending on the thing, I guess. I don't know. I'm thinking out loud now. But was a simple current limiter. That makes sense.
I guess in a sense, though, for a lot of it, if it can do
Yeah.
if it can do watts, that's probably what you need to
Yeah.
kind of prove whether it's actually.
As Dilka just said, if it doesn't have a fat heatsink on it, it's not going to be able to do power tests. That makes sense, because yeah, if you're doing a load test, then yeah, I mean, even my USB tester has got a fan and heatsink on it for a couple of watts, which is somewhere I can't see. But yeah, I don't know.
Absolutely, because well, that could still dissipate, 15, 20 watts.
Yep, that is true. Yeah.
So if you want that to be able to do that for a reasonable amount of time, it's going to need some actual cooling.
Let's see. Teltac, did you just slip in chat? Right. eBay search 180 watt load tester. Okay, that sounds interesting. I'm going to quickly bring that up actually. I need a new tab. Hang on a sec. I'm going to search that just as an interesting. ebay.co.uk. 180 watt load tester. Oh my God, what is this typing? Load tested. Am I pregnant?
Can you get pregante?
Yeah, that's kind of interesting. Hang on a sec. Where's the desktop view? Bam.
Does Luigi board work?
Yeah, so here's the common one. So yeah, 180 watt load tester. Oh yeah, that's got a load of USB inputs on it as well. That looks kind of interesting.
Huh.
Yeah. £41.
I always found it funny that load testers need their own power supply.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously,
I suppose.
but at the same time, it's a load tester. Why does it need a power supply?
Yeah.
But,
well, yeah, you don't want to impact the existing thing. Yeah, that's kind of interesting. Yeah, for 40 quid, that's not bad. I mean, it'd be nice if for something that large, I'd want a case on it or something like that. I'm kind of interested in getting some kind of digital load for stuff, because now and then I want one. But yeah. Let me see. Graham, where is your mic? Even when you're away, we can still hear you clearly. I have a lapel mic.
I was concerned as to where that was going.
Yeah, hang on a minute. Let me dig it out and make a lot of ruffling. I have a Rode Wireless Go lapel mic on. Is the mic I'm currently using. It's very, very convenient. I like it quite a lot. It's not quite as good as a condenser mic, but the convenience of having full wireless is really, really handy. So yeah, wonder if that's an Intel heatsink. It's going to be a generic CPU heatsink. I'd imagine that. So yeah. Julian did a video on them recently on the digital load testers. That sounds interesting, because that's the thing. Like, most of the content I've seen for this kind of stuff has been from somewhere like EEV blog, where obviously he's only testing like BK Precision and Rigol and all the top brands. And whenever I look at the cost of that equipment, I'm just like, oh, that's expensive, man. I just want to mess around. I don't need anything that's got laboratory precision. So I look at these, I'm like, 40 quid? That's not bad. That's something you could play with. But so yeah, it'd be interesting to know if they're any good. Get a load tester that's open source. Some guy reverse engineered the Chinese one and made better firmware. That sounds very cool. That sounds fun.
Always use Peltier cooler.
Oh no.
I want my coolers to be 8% efficient.
Yeah, I might see. Where's that window? Actually, I might just see how much those are on AliExpress, just to see if they're meaningfully cheaper. Also, where did I just dump that window? Because I think I closed it. Okay, that's fine. Because I'm slowly accumulating Chrome windows. 180 watt digital load.
Clock. Wait, hold on. No.
Yeah,
It's
they're about 30 quid. Exactly the same one is 34 on AliExpress. So they're a little bit cheaper if you order them from China. And there's another one there that's £30 that has a phone app, which is interesting.
For mining Bitcoin.
Yeah. God, you're probably right. It's also got an RGB cooler on it, which obviously makes it better.
Oh, as in the cooler has RGB. I was like,
Yeah.
why would one need to cool RGB?
Oh, no. Because LEDs heat up, man. You saw what happened to that Kingston RGB SSD.
The SSD that throttles because it has too many LEDs.
It blows my mind, that video. I
That
love it.
throttles sufficiently enough to cause instability and blue screens. Good job. Bravo. Well done.
Amazing. Amazing. Interesting. That's something I might look into at some point. I need to make a list of just interesting videos to make at some point when I've got no repairs on the go. So yeah, and mine Bitcoin when you use them. Yeah, wouldn't surprise me. Although if I could get one and stick some third-party open source firmware on it, that would be kind of funky. I like the idea of that. So yeah. Yeah, sometimes they come damaged from AliExpress. Yeah, that'll happen occasionally. You're watching this tomorrow because it's 1:30 a.m. No problem, Chris Bartlett. I will see you tomorrow. Trust a phone app from China. Yeah, absolutely. That phone app is probably going to be some weird APK that you have to download from a website and then turn off signature or signing on your phone and stuff like that. Just a thing.
It'll be fine. That's what tester phones are for.
Yes, true that. Yeah. Put a better heat sink on a cheaper one. You mounted an AIO on one and pushed it to 500 watts. That sounds fun. Buying one of these and then just seeing how far to push it.
Oh no.
Like, I got kilowatt power supplies lying around.
Just plugs in 2 kilowatt power supplies. One of them's for the heatsink fans. 1,000 watts of Delta server fans. The device starts levitating.
I'm interested to see if I could build up some kind of ghetto ATX power supply test rig, because a real one probably costs $5,000.
Oh no.
And that would be kind of interesting, just so we could actually do torture tests on ATX power supplies. Like plug in power supply, see if it will actually do the claimed wattage on the 12-volt rail, that kind of thing. But the issue is obviously you need a digital load that will actually go to that amount.
Basically, yeah.
So yes.
A reasonable amount. Certainly, at least if you want anything with any degree of precision.
True, yeah. KVN, thank you for the $10 Superman sticker, or a super, whatever that
Pear?
is. He's cool, he's having a good time.
It's a pear?
Pear? It could be. It could be a strangely shaped eggplant. Either way, thank you very much. Or what's the one that's a squash again?
A butternut squash?
Butternut squash, that's the one. It's a teal butternut squash. Teltag, message received. Yes, I forgot to do that last night. I'll try and get it done today.
Superman.
Superman. Oh, there it is. Oh, Slink, there you are. That reminds me. While I remember it, for anyone who's interested, both Slink and Caradog will be coming up to the shop tomorrow. We're going to be rebuilding Slink's PC, and so I need to spam Slink's Twitch in because we're doing it on Slink's channel. Slinkonage.
Yes.
Slinkonage.
I also have a pile of GPUs in my car
A pile of GPUs. Why?
to give to you.
Okay, sure, thanks. So yeah, tomorrow, Slink, Caradog and I will be rebuilding Slink's PC on that Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Slinkonage. We're going to be rebuilding that. It's going to be a good time. Well, Slink is going to be doing all the work, and Caradog and I will be sitting back drinking tea and coffee and possibly cider, and saying, "Yeah, just do this, you'll be fine." While Slink goes, "Ah!" in that exact tone of voice. I dropped things.
I'm sure it can be absolutely nowhere near as bad as the I'm doing water cooling for the first time in 15 years video.
That went. The result was okay. It just took us too goddamn long. That's the problem when we do projects. We end up recording for like 5 or 6 hours.
Yes.
It's horrifying.
Talking about that computer.
Yeah.
We need to do another thing on the status of the loop.
What's wrong with the loop?
I've sent you photographs.
Have you? Have you just sent me photographs this moment?
No. Not right now, as in prior, but I can send you one right now. There are things and stuff in the CPU block.
Uh-oh. Okay, yes. DM me the photo now so we can share it with the class. Also, Mr. Guru, message received. Thank you very much. I tell you what, I'll just quickly smash that into eBay just while Caradog sends me horrifying gore pictures.
I'm even making sure you get the nice high resolution version.
Oh, here's a Hackaday article. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to have to look up the resources for this, so I can't show it right now. But I'm seeing stuff on Hackaday for that. That looks cool. I've saved the details of that. Thank you very much. I will look into it at some point. Let's save this text file to Google Drive so it doesn't get lost. Podcast notes.txt. There we go. None of this RTF rubbish. Let's see. Slink, that was frighteningly accurate. Of course it was, but we're going to have a good time. It'll be great.
A good time will be had by all, or at least by Graham and I.
At least by some people, yeah. Right, let's get that open. Oh no. Okay, yeah, hold up. Switching to desktop view. Yeah, there's Caradog's CPU water block. That's an ecosystem, man. Get it? Look at that. That's something. That's something. You're going to have to get some antibacterial additive to deal with that, I guess, aren't you?
I've no idea.
Yeah. I mean, it's deionized water, but there's no antibacterial stuff in there, is there?
Oh, absolutely. I need to use actual coolant, but it was kind of a case of part of the thing was saying, can you actually just run it with the proper, with just deionized water? The answer is yes.
That Pepsi Max. No. Oh God. I'm sure someone has already done a video where they've used really stupid coolants in a loop and seen how they perform. I, for one, am interested to know how well Pepsi Max performs as a water cooling coolant.
I'm also wondering if cleaning that out will mean that my CPU idles less than 65 degrees.
Yes, I would imagine it would.
The thing that's bizarre, though, is it will do that, but then it will also max load 65 degrees. So
it would eat its way out. Oh, you're right, Si. Yeah, Pepsi Max probably would eat its way out.
Eventually.
Yeah.
It'll keep it clean as it leaches from the metal.
Hmm. Linus did a cement-filled loop on April Fool's Day. I
I
like
would like
that.
to add. I would like to add cement filled
Hmm.
for anyone who thinks it was real.
Oh, okay, was it just some grey goop or something?
Yes.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, I assumed it just went solid immediately, and they were just like, "Oh, it doesn't work. Fancy that."
Oh, I see. No. Okay.
Oh,
It,
they
it
weren't playing it straight
worked.
face then. Okay, yeah, they were faking it. Yeah, fair enough. Apparently, Jay did
Yeah.
soup. It'd have to be a
Now the
pretty thin soup, but
now
yeah.
the question is, does minestrone or tomato give
It's
better
got no. You'd have
performance?
to. You couldn't put any chunky rubbish in there, otherwise that's just going to jam your pump.
So it has to be, a nice thin broth.
Because we're in the UK, we use porridge.
I have some
Also,
Quaker oats.
ultrasonic cleaner for dealing with this. I need to get an ultrasonic. Yes, I really want an ultrasonic cleaner. I need to get one.
Car
Recommendations?
cooling
Anyone got any
doesn't
recommendations for
work.
cheap ultrasonics? Something that I can find in the EU. I'm actually interested in that. So yeah, use antifreeze. Yeah.
That doesn't work
Why not though?
because Postal used antifreeze and he
Oh.
still got growth.
Oh, okay.
He
Fair enough.
literally had the same growth I have.
Ah, I see. Yeah, and he was using antifreeze. Fair enough.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess just actually using some real coolant with some actual proper additives that are actually engineered for cooling would probably work.
Shockingly.
Yeah. I mean, when I used to run water cooling, I used to run just a tiny drop of washing up liquid. I used a tiny drop of washing up liquid because that destroyed that thinned the water slightly. And initially it got a little bit soapy, but the bubble's clear. So yeah. I don't think that's legit these days though.
Oh dear.
I mean, that was back in the Danger Den 3 days where people were just filling their loops with whatever was. They were filling them with tea and coffee and that kind of thing, and it worked because it was the good old days and we didn't have any of this Corsair rubbish. So.
However, Corsair, if you want to sponsor.
Yes, legitimately. Call me. That's my phone.
Call me on my cell phone.
Cash me outside.
Oh my god. How horrible.
Need to clean up first? Yeah, absolutely that. Boil the distilled water right before adding. I don't think that would work. Eventually stuff is going to get in. Because by the same token, eventually distilled water is going to stop being distilled. You're going to pick stuff up just from the environment over time. Because even if you boiled the water, you'd have to sterilize the loop as well. It's just you need something that's actively killing stuff in there.
Yeah. I'm amazed at how much water the loop has lost. Because I'm about halfway down the radiator.
Really?
Halfway down the reservoir.
That's interesting. I never had that much issue with water loss in my systems.
So yeah. So I'm presuming the top isn't on properly or something.
Yeah, maybe you're just losing it through evaporation. Yeah. And don't mix metals like copper and aluminium. Yes, indeed. Yeah. I'm assuming you've got a copper, or have you got a nickel, Rad?
I don't actually know what it is.
Yeah, it was recommended by the EK configurator, wasn't it?
Basically, I just bought whatever EK's current CPU block was and whatever EK's current radiators were.
Yeah.
And just went, if EK hardware doesn't work together, that's very much EK's problem.
Stick the whole PC in mineral oil. Those were the days. I've never seen that done IRL. The problem is when you want to change something with the old mineral oil stuff. It's just, yeah. Chlorine might work. Yeah, possibly. I don't know. Again, maybe just buying coolant. I don't know, how expensive is coolant? Like if you buy the Corsair stuff,
Like
how much does that actually cost?
£10, £15.
Yeah, because that's the, oh no, use the AstraZeneca vaccine.
I don't know where I get my hands on a ½ litre of the stuff.
You're going to end up on some lists if you do, aren't you? So yeah. The tears of console gamers.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure the like the Corsair fluid stuff is like £15. It's not expensive in the slightest.
Yeah, it's fine if you're only refilling once a year or something, isn't it? Like I'd imagine, like, because the problem is obviously like a 5 litre bottle of deionized water is like £1 in Tesco, so paying 15 quid for coolant is pretty ouchy. But on the flip side, if it actually works, then sure, because like, you know, I watched Jay's 2 cents video the other day on where they were updating their editing rig, their Threadripper, and the coolant in their Threadripper, apart from a little bit of pipe discoloration, which just happens due to plastic, the coolant looked sparklingly clean. So clearly the coolant was doing its job. So that does.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not like you actually really need to change it very often.
Yeah.
The only reason I need to change this is the fact that obviously stuff's growing in it. Take the next step, replace the water cooling block just with, you know, Peltier cooler. Well, phase change coolers.
Phase change, yes. I was going to say, but when you said Peltier, I was like, are you sure? We've been over this. Peltiers are bad.
Yeah. The only problem is I need to get like a 750-watt phase change one. One with a head that can deal with like 750-watt, because then it will always stay frozen. And then there is no problem with condensation because it's always frozen.
There will always be a problem with condensation if you're subambient.
No, it's not a problem when it's ice. Right? Ice isn't a problem. It's when it's a water, and it's a case of if it just stays as ice all of the time, there is no problem.
Just freeze the whole PC.
Also, just dunk it in conformal coating.
Yes, that would also work.
Just make sure you don't get it in your RAM slots in.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what the record breakers do, isn't it? On their like the super heavy, super extreme ones. They just conformal coat the whole board, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of that. Have we ever done a custom loop on the channel? Oh, not a custom hard loop. We soft tubed Caradog's computer, the one that we're actually talking about, and neither of us had really done water cooling in any kind of useful sense, because I haven't done it since the Athlon XP days. So obviously all of my knowledge was completely obsolete. I do want to get into doing water cooling stuff. It's just a matter of having the stuff to do it with. However, I'm working on a shop computer, a shop benchmarking rig and stuff like that, which will actually be good hardware. I'll have, like, it's in the works. So that's what the board was that I was showing off earlier on. I've got a nice X570 board with a 5800X in it, and I'm going to buy a nice case for it, and I'm going to build up a nice Netta computer. And then I will probably actually do a video where I do hardline water cooling on it. It might not stay in there. I might do it for the sake of the video and then break it down and change it to soft tubing or something. But I do want to actually do it just so I've done it once. And that way, if someone comes to me and says, I want you to hardline water cool my computer, I can actually say, yes, I've done this before, you know. So yes. So something that I want to get into. Final fan, is it normal that my FX 6300 drops to 5 degrees Celsius on idle? Yes, the AMD FX CPUs, the AMD FX CPUs, the thermal sensors in them are not remotely accurate at idle. The load temps are accurate, but the idle temperatures, for some reason or other, are just complete hogwash. I don't know why, but it's always been that way. Since the time when even when they were current, motherboards were just getting it completely wrong. So yeah, basically ignore your idle temperatures. They don't mean a thing. But no one cares about idle temperatures anyway for the most part, so I wouldn't worry. Build a PC.
Sorry, I was looking at water cooling accessories, and one of the accessories that came up was a hacksaw. I was just like, "Hey, oh,
Yeah.
hardline tubing, right? Okay, yep. No, I follow now."
Will that get the 1070? I'm probably going to put the 1660 Ti I have in it, just simply because it's a newer card, and also it's, well, maybe. I think the 1660 Ti is single 8-pin, so it's easier to power as well. No, so is my 1070. I haven't decided. The 1070 is in one of my other PCs at the moment. But yeah, currently in the shop, I have a 1070 and a 1660 Ti as my tester cards. But both of them are about the same speed anyway. The 1070 and the 1660 Ti trade blows. So yeah. Let's see. Hardline water cooling in a Q500. Oof. And yeah, very hard but satisfying. Yeah, that makes sense.
Even I wouldn't want to do that.
I mean, the thing about hardline water cooling is just it's just planning and measure twice, cut once. I think the bit that concerns me is just getting the bends nice in the hoses, because you've got to hot air them. Hot air bend, and you've got to do it around a nice radial bending pipe bending tool and stuff like that to make sure it goes right. So, but yeah. Sean Modo asks, how's the battery life been doing in the Rig headset? Pretty darn good. I've only charged it up like once since I bought it. I don't use it as a daily driver though, so I couldn't make a guess as to how many hours it's lasted. But it's certainly doing a great job as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, I've been liking this headset a lot. Tylad asks, how interchangeable are laptop screens? Say the cable and size matches from another model, should it be usable? Yeah, if the cable and the size matches, you should be fine. Most laptop screens are reasonably universal. There are a couple of different connectors and styles, but if the style in the connector is correct, 9 times out of 10 it will work. One of the exceptions to the rule are, one of the common reasons why people will change them out is if you've got like a 1366 by 768 panel and you want to upgrade it to like a 1080p panel, watch out, because the cable that is in the laptop may not have all the wires in it for 1080p. So you might find that even if you connect up a 1080p panel, it still won't do 1080p because the cable doesn't support it. So that's how they get you. They put in stripped out cables. It's very frustrating. So yeah, you can try these things, but yeah, watch out for that one. It depends on why you're swapping out panels. But yes, broadly speaking though, if it fits, it'll probably work.
If it fits, it sits.
Pretty much. That's exactly the situation you're in. Yeah. If you're trying to do a resolution update, watch out for that. The quick way to test will be to, have I got a laptop? I have. Hold on a sec.
Have I got a laptop in this repair shop? Funnily enough.
Yeah, I was just going to say, have I got a laptop that's sufficiently in pieces to demonstrate the issue? Yeah, this'll do. Hang on a minute.
Oh, yeah.
Wrong way. Right, if we bring this camera down here, le bench cam, bam, and le focus, Where's the focus? There it is. Focus. Go with that. So here's a display cable. So here's the display cable where it plugs into the laptop, and at the other end it's going into the display. You can go from either end, but if I just peel this back slightly, just enough so I can get a look at the cables going in there. You just have a look. Oh, that one's glued up pretty good. Can I get in from the other side? This one is very heavily sealed. Hang on a sec. Can I get in from the other side easily? Done. I happen to have picked out a really tough example for this. Let me just see if I can get a peek in there. Oh, I can. Hold on, hold on. Give me a sec. Oh, how far back? Bloody hell, how far back have I got to go on this one? There we go. Right. So it's difficult to see on camera, but if you peel back so you can see the wires going into the connector, as you can see on this one, there's wires all the way along. There's a full complement of wires in there. Now, on the cheap and nasty ones that only do 768, you'll find that most of these wires are missing. There'll be like a couple, then there'll be a big gap, a couple, and a big gap, and you'll just see that most of the wires are missing. That means it's a crap cable and it'll only do 720p-ish. Whereas if you peel that back and you see that it's got all the wires in there, you're good, basically. That means it's a high-def cable that will take the whole lot. So that's how you can check if you've got a good cable or a crap cable. So that's that. Would you like some small with or small? No. But yes. Hopefully that was useful, and hopefully it served as a good enough example. I'm going to put this on the shelf again now. Although I won't pack it away carefully because that needs to come off the shelf. That laptop is actually getting fixed because the parts arrived today.
Good.
By replacing both the cable and the screen, you should be cool. If you can find the cable, that's the tricky bit. If the cable is missing half the wires, you need to find a replacement cable that does have the wires there. So like you could try checking some of the, and that's the thing, is you don't know which ones have got it. I've never successfully solved this issue, but I've never really tried. So yeah, one way you could investigate is to find out if the laptop ever actually came with a 1080p panel, like as an optional extra. Because if there was an optional extra for 1080p, then the cable exists and you can probably find it. But if it was never an option for that laptop, it may not exist. So yeah, I don't know, man. Ah, you found a forum post about your model and you filled in the blanks. Excellent. Op success. All right then, that's that one sorted. Let's see, right, what was going on while I was... yeah, I'm not a fan of HP laptops either, sorry folks. But hey, they're out there, they do the job. Firephone, hello, how's it going? Where is new shop tour video? Do you have any discount? Also, do you have any discount for a haircut? Shop tour video is soon, TM. I'm going to start filming it because, yeah, I can actually start filming it soon. Am I going to do... I need to think about this, actually, because I was waiting until the new lights were in, and I hadn't put any more thought into it other than that. However, I've got the new lights, and I'm like, I think the shop is good enough for me to actually start filming the shop reveal tour video. So I don't know when, but soon TM. So yeah, it'll be soon TM. Yeah. Right. What's the best way to power a 10-watt LED diode? I don't have a lot of experience on powering LED. You need a current regulated supply. That's the issue. What are you trying to do? Are you trying to build it into like a torch, or do you just want to make it light up just so you can go, ooh, bright kind of thing? Because if you want to actually build a torch, what you need to get is like a driver board for it.
I am certain that AliExpress service your requirement.
That's exactly what I was thinking. 10-watt LED drive.
Not getting 10-watt one.
Yeah.
and getting, I don't know if a 12 or a 15 exists.
Yes.
And
Overspec your driver.
then sticking a resistor on it to actually limit your 10-watt LED to 8 or something. So you're not
Yeah,
grilling everything.
possibly. So, full disclosure, this isn't one that I have tested or anything like that, but just as an example, if I just switch over to desktop, bam. This is an eBay search. I've just eBay searched for 10-watt LED driver. So if I just go back a sec, I just Google eBay searched for 10-watt LED driver, and oh, it wasn't that one I was looking at, although that's another one. But as an example here, here's someone selling them, and if we select the 10-watt one, you'll get something like this box, and you've got your input. Oh, that's an AC input, so that's going to take mains voltage in and then give you a DC output. Have we got something that's DC in? 12-volt DC, there you go, there's something like that. There you go, so that's 12-volt input, and then it gives you a current regulated output to go to your LED. So that's an example of something you could use, and that would be a current regulated driver for powering your LED. You could also power it from like a bench power supply or something like that, but if you're actually looking to install this LED in something, I would be using a driver box like that for it, that'll handle all of your driving needs. So yeah, and yeah, LM317. Again, yes, you could build your own from electronics as well. It depends on what you want to do. If you want to learn about the electronics of driving an LED, building your own driver would certainly teach you a lot. If you just want the LED to light up because you just want to build a big torch or something like that, I'd just buy a driver box and a LiPo battery.
Just short the LiPo battery with the LED.
No, do not.
Oh, is that bad?
I'm assuming so.
Don't worry, my LED is just being supplied with 165 amps.
Yeah. For a very short amount of time, I'd imagine.
Son!
See, you're refurbing a Dell XPS 2nd Gen Intel right now. Bit of a can of worms, but you ordered the parts yesterday. Well, that'll be fun. Like, sometimes it's worth fixing stuff just for the learning experience, even if it's not economically viable. Microscope lighting. That's going to be a heckin' bright microscope light. Wouldn't you want like a ring light or something like that? Just a thought. I'm not sure though.
You want ring light for everything.
Yeah, ring lights are good. Yeah. However, I have not gone down the light. I haven't gone down the microscope rabbit hole yet, so I'm not sure.
Comes out 2 days later. I can see the atoms.
Let's see. How much my electric bill? I'm not sure at the moment, actually. Not terrible because I'm reasonably efficient with my electricity, and some of that comes down to just being smart with your lighting and things like that. I mean, the electric bill in this shop is going to be a lot more just because, well, down to lighting. But I mean, the new lights straight away are going to save me a lot of money. The old lighting in here was like each bulb was about 40 watts or so, and there were probably like 10 or 15 bulbs per room, and we've chopped them all out to just 18 LED panels that are 35 watts a shot. So I've probably axed my lighting bill in half, but it's not horrendous as long as I'm sensible. So yeah.
Didn't you say it was a case of you worked out and it was over a kilowatt?
It must have been, yeah, because previously there were so there was 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. There are at least 14 lights in the front room, and 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and there were 16 in the back room. Some of them had 30-watt bulbs in, and some of them had 42-watt bulbs in. So let's say there were 15 lamps per room and average 35 watts times 15. Yeah, so times 2. I reckon there was probably about a kilowatt of lighting in the shop, and I had all of it switched on because it was all crap, so I needed as much light as I could get. Whereas now the LED panels alone provide several times the amount of actual light into the room. And there's now 18 total, 9 per room, and they're 35 watts, so I've halved the bill. So yeah, so very, very good.
He's good.
Let's see. Oh yeah, the Age of Empires 4 announcement. Oh no, it does look like a pile of predictable poo. I'll check in on that later because I play a lot of Age of Empires 2 DE, so I do have an interest in Age of Empires, and if Age of Empires 4 is going to be crap, that makes me very sad. We'll see. I really kind of hoped that they'd talk to community, like the Age of Empires 2 DE community about that, because like that Age of Empires 2 DE is RTS strat peak as far as I'm concerned. But
Lots of people disagree. It's not StarCraft.
yeah, I don't know enough StarCraft to know. Age of Empires 2 DE is really well refined though. They've done so much work for balancing and stuff like that in that game.
I legitimately still cannot play Age.
you can't play it so much that you cut off for the second half of that.
Yeah. I
what do you
genuinely terrible at them.
Yeah, you can. It's practice, man. I mean, to be honest, like
I don't understand them. Like, there's just so much stuff that seems to not do what it's labeled as doing, but I need it to do something else, and nothing says that you need it. But you just suddenly find out, oh, I needed that thing, and apparently I should have built it 15 minutes ago.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's no worse than Sins of a Solar Empire.
Except for if you click on something, it says you need this, and it flashes the UI element. So it's kind of a case of at least the very first time you do it, you can just click the thing, and it goes blink, blink, blink.
Yeah. So, Age of Empires 2 DE has gotten better at that. The biggest problem that you'll find in Age of Empires 2 is when, like, if you've got a pikeman and the enemy has a pikeman, and the enemy's pikeman just seems to be ridiculously stronger than yours, it's a question of, I don't understand why his pikeman is better than mine. That's one of the issues that you might have. But Age of Empires 2 has gotten a lot better where now, like, if you go to the barracks and you hover over the Create Pikeman icon, it will say Create Pikeman, and as long as you've got full tooltips turned on, it will say infantry unit, effective against cavalry, upgrades available at the following 3 buildings for armor and attack, for example. So the tooltips have gotten a lot better at telling you what this unit is good for and how you can make it better. So that helps. The main part about Age of Empires is just when to rush and when to boom and stuff like that. Is just game strategy, and about detecting what other players are doing as well. Getting a feel for when the enemy is rushing or booming, and
I've played through the campaign of Age of Mythology again recently on the easiest difficulty because I was like, man, I haven't played through this since I was yay high to a grasshopper.
Yeah, same.
And I was just like, this really wasn't actually very good.
No, I seem to remember liking Mythology at the time, but Age of Empires 2 was always the best, in my opinion. And DE has really completely altered the game balance from the original Age of Empires 2 and even Age of Empires 2 HD. As Definitive Edition completely rebalanced the game in the best possible ways. So counters are actually good now. Like someone can come at you with the best cavalry in the game, but if you've got pikemen, those cavalry are going to die, you know. And it's just, if you actually use the correct counters, you win, basically. It rewards you for playing the game how you're supposed to. Whereas in the old days, it was kind of a case of just unique unit to victory. Whereas now, I mean, unique units are great, but if someone has got a hard counter to your unique unit, it's not going to be enough. You actually have to counter their counter.
I remember trying to do Age of Empire 2 multiplayer games when it came out over dial-up into.
I've never really played much PvP Age of Empires, I have to admit. I always play versus AI, but again, the modern AIs are really good.
And what was the Star Wars one? The Star Wars RTS.
Pass. Don't know.
From like 1998 or something. I can't remember. I can't remember. But yes, that. Empire at War. Empire at War.
There we go. Yeah. Hopefully they'll remaster Red Alert 2 like they did with RO1. Probably. I'd love to see a remaster of Tiberian Sun. And if they remaster Red Alert 2, they'll do Tiberian Sun at the same time, I think. But yeah. Arnold G, live stream repair the laptop I put on the shelf. I'd love to do that, but I'm actually recording a video for that one. I'm actually doing a specific how to fix hinges video for that, so I can't because it'll ruin the video. So yeah.
I mean, there's also obviously the CNC net stuff for Tiberian Sun.
Yeah, CNC net did really breathed fresh air into Tiberian Sun, although it's a little bit unstable. I was playing it with friends, and we get disconnects now and then, and it's very frustrating because if you disconnect in that game, that's it. The game is bust. You can't reconnect or resume or anything like that. Whereas one of my favorite parts of, again, how well Age of Empires 2 DE runs, it a lot like with Sins of a Solar Empire. If a player disconnects, it auto saves, and everyone can quit the game, pick up the lobby, and resume from the auto save when that person disconnected. So if you get a crash or an auto save, the game isn't lost, and it's just it's so much better than the bad old days.
The fact, I think, in kind of a sense of, obviously, because Sing games, short Sing games are 6 hours, it's a case of if it didn't have a very smooth connect and disconnect kind of mechanism,
kind of essential, wasn't it?
Would have played it. It's like Stellaris or X3, X4. I can't remember what the game's called. But like that is equally sort of grand scaleness, and it's just kind of very much need to not lose the game 3/4 of the way.
Yeah, there's got to be a solution in place for that. Riamoin McDonachad. I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name. I probably am. Thank you very much for becoming a channel member. Welcome aboard. Worst was CNC Generals. I've heard a lot of people, oh no. If people were losing, they could force a desync by doing anything with cheat engine so they wouldn't take the loss. Oh, that's terrible, man. I never played any Generals.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is absolutely the kind of stuff I would do.
He is
absolutely
very simple.
Would do that against people I know. to put that out there. Only to annoy my friends.
Well, that's something that always hacked me off about PvP in Dark Souls 3, because I've done a decent amount of Dark Souls 3 PvP, and most people playing Dark Souls 3 PvP have probably got a cheat watchdog running. So they have a mod running in the game that warns them if their opponent is cheating, and it can do that by detecting. It can detect invalid statistics on the character, like if the character has impossible if character stats kind of thing. Like if they've got like intelligence 0 because they've dumped intelligence to get more strength, it detects they've got intelligence 0, which is impossible to achieve, and it says, and it actually labels warning cheating detected kind of thing, which is very cool. However, another feature of this is a disconnect from session button. So if you're, because cheaters can lock you into the session, so you can't disconnect. So you have it can give you a hotkey, so you can just escape from the session. And the amount of honor fights I've been in, where I've been fighting a 2 versus 1, where I'm the one, and I've been winning a 2 versus 1 fight, and the host just smashes F5 and disconnects from the session, and I'm like, you coward! You wouldn't take the death. You lose nothing by dying. All you do is go back to the campfire and you ember up again. You lose nothing from taking this death, and you smashed F5. You coward. You utter coward. It angers me. You can also pull the Ethernet cord. Oh, that as well. Yeah, I suppose. But yeah. Do.
I mean, that was a thing for a while for GTA. For GTA Online. For, like making private lobbies and stuff.
Yeah, I suppose.
Which
it does. It's depressing. I think it depresses me how some people are just so het up about they just cannot bear the thought of taking the loss, that they're willing to take the coward's exit like that. It's just like, you still lost. This coward's exit doesn't stop you from losing. All you did was just spite me, like as if that's going to make you feel any better, kind of thing. I guess it probably does for them, but I don't know. I'm ranting. Yeah. Anyway, we're at 2 hours, so I think it's time. I think we're going to wrap up instead of running for 2.5 hours again, knocking on 3 hours, because I kind of want. I want to try and keep these things capped at about 2 hours.
Okay.
Yeah. Unless there was anything else that you desperately wanted to talk about.
No.
Okay.
I'm all good.
Fair enough. Yeah. Because I know I basically just played the. I basically just played the. I'm ending the stream now. Everyone go away. You don't have to go home, but you can stay here. However, we are at the 2 hour marker.
Goodbye.
And I feel like, yeah. Game stream of me clapping you in a 1v1. Ooh, fight me outside Pontiff. I'm not actually that good, by the way. But yeah. Right, anyway, yeah. Let's wrap up.
By the Twitch streams.
I'll get into... I'm not playing a lot of Dark Souls 3 at the moment, but I'll get into it again at some point. I'm just on break. But yeah, Cowdog is like, I can talk forever. Big saying, that's the problem. We could be here for another hour. We made that mistake the other week, and last week as well. Whatever. Anyway, thank you everyone for joining in. You was a top 100 player, and you hate. Oh, fair enough. Yeah, I'm sure you know the nonsense of it as well. Just as a quick one, because this came up earlier on, File Not Found asks, have I ever tried baking a GPU? I've tried it once, didn't work for me. It's a bust theory. It's a foul. Baking doesn't work. However, sometimes heating stuff up will cause it to temporarily recover because everything flexes and moves and stuff like that, but it doesn't actually fix anything. So yeah, baking is a no-go. It might work for 6 hours, it might work for 6 minutes, who knows? So yeah, maybe, yeah. Instructions unclear, made a cake. I don't believe in the baking method. I think it's a temporary fix, personally, but we'll see.
How many eggs do I need for DLSS?
All right, thank you for joining in, everyone. Thank you for all the super chats. Thank you for the memberships. And thank you for just being here as well, because that doesn't get said often enough. We'll see you guys next week, same place. And there'll be a video out a bit later on today of me fixing a stupid RoboVac. Also, just as a reminder again, we will be live again tomorrow. I'm just quickly typing in the address, twitch.tv/slingcarnage. And I'm just going to check I've spelt it right. Slingcarnage, yep. We will be live again tomorrow over at twitch.tv/slingcarnage with a rebuild of Slink's computer. So if you want to see some fun, chill-out times of rebuilding a PC, will be online tomorrow. We're starting at 2 p.m. UK time. 2 p.m. UK time. That's it. Thank you, everyone. See you all next week or tomorrow or whenever, I guess. That's it.
Tomorrow. Or tomorrow again.
Or tomorrow, yes. See you soon. Thanks,
Absolutely.
everyone.
We'll be
Bye.
watching.
End stream. There we go. We're out.